there's a lot of people who have got internet challenges wherever they are, and we just have to work through, and hopefully over time we will be able to get digital access to most people. So let me start by just reflecting on where we started off, what we thought we would do when we were starting this year. And my personal goal when I came in as DG and on as planning as district governor-elect was to make it possible for a 40-year-old working Rotarian, married with 3 kids, to be able to do their normal job and at the same time be able to carry out the Rotary duties. And that meant that we were going to change a lot of things within the district to make it easier for the district governor to really work with the district. And the key things that that we worked with the president-elects at that time and with the district team that was being formed at that time was to change the expectations on how we were going to visit clubs and work with clubs. So the first big change was to have a situation whereby most of the official work, the donkey work and everything else that would normally be done during a club visit would be done digitally. So we have had the digital board meetings and the digital club assemblies, which have been dubbed the DG's visit, which in previous years would have meant physically traveling and taking time with each club to do those activities, and then also take an opportunity of visiting some of the projects that the clubs have done. So that was the sort of the foundation of trying to create time in the district governor's normally full year calendar, where you have to devote time to the district without doing anything else. So that has progressed extremely well, and we've covered most of the clubs which we could cover. But obviously, there are some clubs which have had challenges in terms of internet access. And it's not just the clubs, because you expect everybody who is a member of the club to have internet access wherever they are so they can join in to the meeting. And that has obviously been a challenge in places like Ethiopia, in Sudan, and in quite a few other parts of Kenya, especially outside the built-up areas. And in Ethiopia, the same thing. Within Addis, it was okay, but as we move further out of Addis, there are issues as well in terms of access to internet. The same thing. So that was done and completed, and the next phase was then to visit clubs in what I call clusters. So either under one AG bringing all their clubs together, or maybe 2 AGs bringing all their clubs together, or working in a way where the geographical location of the clubs made it possible for them to meet together. And I started that activity sometime in October, and I was able to visit clubs at the coast and fellowship with them, do some inductions, do chartering of clubs, and also have closed meetings whereby we were sorting out problems. And the objective of those physical meetings was to actually add value to the clubs where you're visiting. So chartering a club and getting everybody together is adding value. We started with some clubs where one club was having issues on membership and other clubs came to join. And that gave them the opportunity of helping that club to sort out how they're going to try and revive the membership drive that they had. And indeed, that is already working. And in other places, it was to celebrate the charter, the onboarding of a large number of members. This was in the Rotary Club of Mombasa, which has we introduced the largest number of members in one club at one go. It was almost the size of a new club coming in. And then also visiting projects and having meetings at the projects. One of the things I did was to do an induction of a new member on a construction site where we were meeting to visit the project. So all this flexibility meant that I was able to finish the coast visit within about 4 days. I left Nairobi on a Thursday and I was back on the Monday. And the same continued into Western Kenya, where I went through, chartered a few clubs, chartered a club, had breakfast in Kisumu with all the clubs in Kisumu, including Maseno. Then on a day, I visited 3 regions there, quite hectic, driving all the way. But it meant I was then also able to complete Rift Valley and Western Kenya within 6 days in terms of having physical meetings And again, in those meetings, there's a lot of learning, a lot of interchange between the clubs where they actually learn from each other. And the role that I played was more of a catalyst rather than the, the know-it-all who brought in knowledge to everybody. And that actually, for me, was very gratifying to see that once you get people together and they begin to discuss and talk, solutions are found to things that traditionally every club thought this is extremely difficult for this to happen. So the next stage for me is to go to Ethiopia and to visit Sudan in the next 2 weeks, and that will complete the visits, which means that I'll have done most of the hard work in terms of doing all those things within 4 months, within 7 months of the year. But I believe that it can be done in a much shorter time. But the one thing that has done, that in between all that, I was able to do other things like a normal working person will be able to do. So that is one of the steps in terms of moving forward to making it possible for the district governor to be 40 years old, be married with 3 kids, and still be able, and working, and still be able to be a district governor. So that really drove a lot of things. The second thing that drove was to try and change the way the district was governed. And that meant changing the structure of the way we had a lot of country chairs, district chairs, and so forth and so on. And the span of control that I had as a district governor meant that if we kept with the way that it was organized before, it meant that I would have, like for this year, I would have had 35 assistant governors who I'm dealing with directly. And then I would have had 40 various chairs, district chairs, who I'd be dealing with as well. And a span of control of 80 people almost is not possible. And that meant that things would fall through the cracks. So what we've done this year is you're going to see that we have a total of 12 chairs, district chairs, and then we have 3 country chairs. And what that has done is that we've focused the delivery of service to clubs in those key areas, and there are 12 people who are accountable to me in the district for actually ensuring that things are done. And they will all be speaking to you during the course of today and giving you a snapshot of an update of what has happened in the last 6 months in their own areas, how they've worked, and the challenges that they've received. This meant that now what was established last year by District Governor Joe Tin, the executive committee, is now fully entrenched in the district. And that is how we shall be working as a district in the future, having your district chairs and each of them managing a portfolio. And then each of the district chairs then organizes how they're going to work with the clubs. And the model that has been adopted by all the chairs is that they each have people who have been dedicated to a group of clubs, so that that group of clubs has, say, for example, a membership person who they can refer to closer to where they are. And these people who have got groups of clubs are people who are resident in that part of the world, whether it is in Ethiopia, whether it is in Sudan, or whether in Kenya, which has been divided into 7 clusters. And you will have individual, each cluster will have a cluster leader, and then you will have the district chairs having people in those clusters that can help the clubs work. This is all work in progress. Most of the committees have been able to do that this year and make the transformation, and we're feeling the effects of that. And I hope you, as members of Rotary, are feeling that impact as well. The biggest change, however, was in the programs committee, which is a new committee that we brought up in the district. But it brought together all those district chairs, or district chair for malaria, district chair for polio, district chair for microfinance, etc., all these areas. And what we've done is to collapse those into the 7 areas of focus. And the reason I chose to do that was to say that we should really be helping Rotary deliver on its global goals in our own small ways. So we can say that in the 7 areas of focus, Rotary has done X, Y, Z, and that we all as clubs focus directly in those areas, and everything that we do should be aligned to those areas, so that we don't start doing things that are not really the areas of focus that Rotary has. And this is work in progress. It's going to be a big change in the district, and it is one that will take about 2 to 3 years to bed in fully. And you will find when Janet makes her report that there's a lot that has happened already this year. A lot of it, unfortunately, has been mainly in Kenya, but hopefully once it is done and sort of dusted properly, then all the other countries will also see that happening. But that is not to say that work is not going on in Rotary clubs in those areas of focus. Work is going on, clubs are working, but it's a support to the clubs that is slightly different from what we have perceived we should be having by now. So that is in terms of the changes at the top. The last change is the fact that we introduced the cluster leaders by grouping together a series of assistant governors so that the cluster leaders are the ones that are able to drive issues in that area. And some of the things we've been able to do that is that we've had a series of struggling clubs in terms of the foundation, and we spent some time with them with a cluster leader and the AGs together with the clubs and the club boards, understanding what the issues were with them in terms of getting their foundation working together. So the final couple of things I'd like to talk about is some of the issues that have arisen during the last 6 months. And some of them are serious issues that have caused us to do things, are going to do things differently in the future. One of them is the fact that we found out that there's a lot of non-compliance, and non-compliance in the delivery of our grants, which has led the district to be put under scrutiny by the Rotary Foundation. And there's only 2 districts in the world out of 590 that are under scrutiny by the Rotary Foundation. And this is not a pleasant place to be at when you've got the whole of the foundation focusing on you in terms of compliance and governance. And the issues that we've seen arising out of this process are several. One of them, we have members who have joined Rotary for the wrong reasons and have been lying there, and then have decided that now I will come out in my true colors. And they've messed up in terms of delivery of grants. And they've messed up in one club and they've lain low for a short while, and then you see them coming up to form a new club. And that new club you found has had exactly the same issues as was seen in the previous club because of those specific Rotarians who are not good apples in our basket. Those Rotarians are being weeded out, and they will be removed from Rotary during the course of this year, because you cannot allow that kind of thing to continue perpetrating itself within here. And that is work in progress, and that is something we shall focus on. We've understood in the first 6 months, we've understood what the issues are in terms of the compliance issues and why clubs are finding that they're under the spotlight of the foundation and the district as well. I do not want to pass a district through to the next district governor, which is under the spotlight of the foundation because of the bad behavior of some of Rotarians in the district and some clubs as well. So this is something that for the next 6 months, we are going to clean out and make sure that we get out of the radar of the foundation and as a district, and then we can continue going. You may realize that that in the world, we are probably the second largest consumer of the foundation's material. We have 126 grants running, and that is large. And therefore, with 11 million shillings, $11 million of grants worth, they have a reason to be concerned about compliance in this country, in this district, sorry. So that is one area that that is of concern. As a result of that, there is a committee that is being formed, which is an ethics and governance committee, whose role will be primarily to ensure that as members are brought in, new members come in, we have a mechanism that is going to screen and make sure that the members who are coming in are people of good standing, period. The second thing that the Ethics and Governance Committee will be looking at is looking at the governance structures in the clubs and making sure that the clubs are running properly, and we're not building fiefdoms as they were. Of some of what you've seen around is some of the older members, the more senior Rotarians, are pushing their own agenda within a club to the detriment of the younger Rotarians who are coming in. And that creates tension in the club, and you find people leaving every so often. We do not want that to happen. And those are some of the jobs that the Ethics and Governance Committee will be looking at, to make sure that we are following governance properly, we don't create fiefdoms, and that the structures within every club are being followed properly. And that way we hope that we'll then be able to bring new members in and they stick. And if there are issues in the club that they feel maybe cannot be resolved within the framework that is there, there is always an independent and trusted body of wise people that you can talk to. This releases the district governor to run the district, because some of these issues you are expected to make a decision as an individual, and you are not the know-all, as it were, as an individual. So the Ethics and Governance Committee will be a very important addition to the district in terms of just taking some of these more difficult decisions away and allowing a process to happen where they can be looked at. So let me stop there in terms of the district. We are healthy, we're going well, and I'll be able to do a summary at the end, because you're really going to hear about what the district, how the district is doing from the various chairmen who are going to speak to you. Thank you very much, and back to you, Tito. Tito, back to you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, DG. And I think we roll down now to the actual presentations. And the first presentation we are going to have is from PDG Peter Mbui. No. Sorry about that. The next presentation we are going to have is from the district Rotary representative, that is Kennedy Gaia. So Kennedy, are you ready?
Yes, Tito, I'm ready.
All right, Karibu.
Okay, thank you so much, Tito. Thank you so much, DG, for setting the tone for the meeting. I think the fundamental role of the leadership is to provide a clarity of purpose and to foster an effective collaboration between Rotary and Rotaract. And it's been clear from the onset that we are looking at making sure that Rotaractors and Rotarians are working together in a quite collaborative manner that ensures that our impact is felt and continues to grow across the district. We have had various successes and challenges, and as a team, the focal point has been adapting to the new way of doing things and the old circumstances around COVID-19. And it's important that we facilitate the adoption of e-systems and of better collaborative structures within our clubs, and that has been our focal a point of reason. And that also advised the fact that in the beginning of the year, we launched our 3-year strategic plan dubbed the Rotaract District 9212 Strategic Plan 2020-2023 to ensure that we are continuously moving towards strategies that makes us better and makes it a continuity rather than just a stop-start situation where we had from one leadership to another. So to ensure that this is working and to ensure that we are growing our brand, we need to be responsible in an uncertain environment, and to ensure that the investments we are making towards every different focus area within the district makes us a better organization. We'd like to thank all the Rotarians and Rotaractors who have taken leadership in various sectors around their clubs and in various sectors around the district, and to also thank the district leadership led by the district governor in ensuring that we are and helping us in building an effective and resilient organization that is geared towards innovative programs and productivity. So coming down into what we've done in the past 6 months, I wish to align our successes and our challenges based on our strategic plan, and the first focus area is membership retention and engagement. And on this area, we've seen a rapid improvement in terms of how we've done our trainings. And from the club trainings, we've been able to see more clubs are creating structures that are ensuring that they're checking on their members, they're engaging their members, they're ensuring that the members are sitting on committees, and ensuring that our members are involved in day-to-day running of the club. This ensures that there's a bit of ownership on the club, so that the club members don't just feel that the club is owned by the president and the board as at that year, and then everyone sits back. So it's important that we have that continuity and that ownership within our clubs. And through that, we've encouraged a lot of Rotaract Interact activities, and we've seen 12 major Rotaract Interact activities over the last 6 months at district level, and even many more at club level. We've also seen three joint Rotaract events. That is at district level. We had a joint membership training back in August. We've had the robo launch that was done in end of August also, and quite recently in November we had a very good interactive session with the district team both at Rotary and Rotaract level during the Ryla Day 3, which is seen as geared towards helping clubs to also have as many joint fellowship as possible with their mother clubs. And our target for the year is to ensure that a club has a joint fellowship with the mother club at least once every quarter, and hoping that improves as we go into the Q3 and Q4. We've also seen a tremendous improvement in leadership and professional development programs. We've seen the launch of our District 92 Resource Bank for learning purposes, which is available on our website. We've seen the launch of the district membership handbook, which cuts across ethics and the code of policy for a Rotaractor, how a Rotaractor is expected to behave in both the environmental setting, personal life, and within Rotaract itself. We've seen Ryla Virtual, which was a huge success for us, because we saw attendees coming to about 288, and now we have 9 hours and 30 minutes of recorded sessions for the same, which makes it a repository of knowledge that any Rotaractor and even Rotarian can go when we need content on leadership, and this is available on our YouTube page. We've seen youth leadership session in collaboration with Rotary International and Unicef, which we held in our district, and we've also seen women leadership in Rotaract. Onto our second focus area, which is around club organization. Tito, which is around club organization. We've implanted strategies that help our clubs achieve more from their members and adapt rapidly to the environment. And through that, we've been able to organize 8 training sessions for clubs information, which we expect will make those clubs better and stronger in terms of their structural settings. And we've seen a total of 15 role-specific trainings done for all club leaders, and this ensures that at club level, our leadership have the right skill set and tool set to be able to drive their clubs forward. And also this comes down to the members, and through these trainings, we've done training for over 270 people sitting in different boards across the district. We also saw successful transition of 92% of the clubs from one leadership to another, which was smooth and well done. We had a bit of a challenge of about 8%, with specific being that we have about 6 clubs in Kenya and 1 in Ethiopia that were not able to move from one leadership to another and still remain under the previous leadership in the last Rotary year. But through the club organization structures that we are now supporting the clubs with under our strategic plan, we hope that the clubs will now be better off to do better transitions in the next coming Rotary year. Onto our third focus area, which is under growth and outreach. We are looking at formation of new clubs, and not just new clubs, but also new types of models. So far we've had 8 new Rotaract clubs. 8 new Rotaract clubs, with the 6 of them being the traditional Rotaract clubs and 2 of them being e-clubs that are formed within different regions to help ensure that there's a bit of innovation and different thinking when it comes to Rotary and Rotaract clubs. In terms of membership growth, we've had 236 new inducted Rotaractors, and we hope that this improves as we get into the new year and get a better a better result, so that we are able to hit our 500 mark target, which was our target at the beginning, to have 500 new Rotaractors. So having already passed the almost getting to the halfway mark, we hope that that number is reciprocated in the next half. We've also had two joint Rotaract outreach projects, which are projects that are aimed at bringing in guests of clubs in an event, or even people who are non-Rotaractors to be able to just have a chat with the existing Rotaractors, so that they'll be able to understand what is Rotaract. And we hope that then that these will attract more young people into joining Rotaract, but at the same time without eroding our quality of the expectation that is set in our membership handbook. So we've had two, one in Western region and one in Coast region, and one is upcoming in Ethiopia very soon, and we'll also be just engaging people on that. So in terms of interaction engagements, we've come from having two new generation directors in clubs, because initially we were not telling Rotaractors to position themselves in a good point to attract interactors, and now we have 24 clubs that have new generations teams that are supporting their mother clubs with their interact teams, and hoping that then we'll encourage more interactors to become Rotaractors. We've also, as I mentioned earlier, we've had 12 joint activities for Rotary and Rotaract at district level, and are hoping to improve on that. In terms of social outreach, we've had various social campaigns, one on youth, one on hand washing, one on volunteerism, interact, and polio, and also enhanced the level of engagement on our social pages, release of the Rotaract magazine for this year, and launch of the district YouTube page, which then changes how we interact with people. Currently, we are working on launching a district TikTok page, so look forward to that. We have 4 Rotaract stories that have been done in the mainstream media in Ethiopia, which then makes Rotaract a whole new facet of engagement for young people. In terms of collaboration with other districts, we've had an MOU signed with 16 districts in Africa to form Rotaract Africa, which is still work in progress, and hopefully that should be launched before the end of this quarter. And we've also signed an MOU with the District 9125 Nigeria that enables our Rotaract district to twin with the other Rotaract districts, with key set objectives that are aimed at ensuring that we are being different. During the year, we also relaunched our website, and we've also launched an innovation team. Onto our final focus area, which is on impact, we've had 4 training sessions on project success guide. These are trainings that are set for community service directors that we've been doing on a month-to-month basis, just to ensure that our community service directors at clubs understand what is the difference between a community service event and a community service project, because we had a situation where most of the clubs were doing more of community service events rather than long-term sustainable projects. So we are working on ensuring that more clubs are transitioning from community service events to long-term projects. And then we've had 2 new corporate partnerships under the leadership of Dr. Josephine Ojiambo. We have the Unicef Partnership, where Rotaractors are aimed to take a lead on the Stop It in behavioral change project, which will I think Dr. Josephine will mention more about it, but she's really done an amazing job to rope in Rotaractors and put in a structure around them. Then with Elebat Solutions in Ethiopia, to have good financial mentorship sessions for Rotaractors in Ethiopia, and ensure that our Rotaractors are always at the top of their game. In terms of the foundation, we've had 2 district trainings. I think at the beginning of the year, Rotaractors were given a very huge incentive from RI and from the TRF in terms of how RI envisions the participation of Rotaract in global grants and district grants in the upcoming years. And so we repositioned ourselves to ensure that we have very good training for the foundation, but we continue to have club specific trainings on TRF awareness to make more Rotaractors aware of what is TRF. TRF used to be a hoax amongst us. It's something that we didn't pursue seriously, but now we are taking up the initiative to to create better awareness, encourage more Rotaractors to start contributing to TRF, even if it's $1, and ensure that we have better knowledge platform. Our partnership with District 9125 that I'd mentioned earlier also has TRF specific objectives, so that we start ensuring that better collaborations are created within, so that once Rotary clubs start getting global grants, then they will already be getting international linkages that allows them to now have conversations. And part of our agreement is to ensure that we have a joint TRF global grants training, possibly in early March, so that our Rotaractors and those of it. So as I wind up, I want to continue thanking all the Rotaractors for setting up a belief in our own ability to learn and to respond in the face of challenge, and to ensure that as a leadership, we are choosing not just to be people who chase problems, but people who decide to see the central idea in a sea of issues and create solutions. Thank you, and over to you, Tito.
All right, thank you very much, our district Rotary representative, for that update. Then now we go to our foundation chair, that is the First District Governor Peter Mbui. Karibu PDG Peter.
Thank you very much, Tito, DG Patrick, district leaders, Rotaractors, and my fellow Rotarians. Good morning. It's a good morning today to come and tell you something about what has been happening in the Rotary Foundation docket. I would request Tito to put on the fundraising report, and I'll start with the fundraising. In November this year, last year, the Rotary Foundation trustee chair, Ravi Ravindran, invited us for a meeting, all the RFCs in Africa, and he told us that this year, or rather last year, because of the COVID, this is the time that Rotarians should come out and contribute to the Rotary Foundation, because the needs have never been greater. And so, from that list, I want to thank Rotary Club of Langata, Rotary Club of Mombasa, and the Rotary Club of Karen for giving the largest contributions in US dollars to the district. Please scroll down. Check your club there, please, and see where you are. Continue scrolling down until you come to the club starting with 0. And there we are. Stop there. We have only 59 clubs which have contributed something to the Rotary Foundation. And out of that, the remaining, we have contributed a total of 165,000 US dollars. But from there, the following clubs, you can now continue moving slowly. If you see your club there, I am talking to you now. Please center it and start from the one which is 0. Yes, move slowly as I talk, so that everybody can see his club there. To contribute to the Rotary Foundation, all you need to do is contribute. We require, if you can't pay directly, if you can pay with a credit card, you can pay as little as $1. But if you are paying through our district accounts, it's best to pay at least $10. And each Rotarian, if one Rotarian from your club contributes $10, you become a giving club. You are no longer in that list of clubs which contribute nothing. If everybody in the club contributes just $1, then the club becomes an all giving. So I urge all of you who have not contributed, please contribute something. That is my request in as far as fundraising is concerned. I also want to commend our Rotarians who have risen up to the offer by the DG to match. We have matched about 150 Rotarians, and among them there is one Rotaractor who has also contributed, and we have matched. So thank you very much, the former DRR, for contributing and being one of the first Rotarians to be matched. I want to move on now to grants. You can put on the second slide. And for grants, that's where we seem to have a bit of a challenge because, again, as you look at this list, if your club is in red, then you are one of those people who are making our life very, very difficult. Apparently, this is a very large number. We had 40 grants in red at the beginning of this year. We brought it down to 20, but still, that has necessitated our district to be, considered a high-risk district because 20 grants is too many. We expect 1 or 2, not 20. So as we scroll down, the sad thing is that even my own club, Nairobi East, has 1 grant which is giving them a problem. They are on top of it, but it has to be put there. And if you are on the red, it means that you are banned from grant activity until all that is sorted out. So please go down slowly, highlighting all the clubs in red as I continue. This list is published every month, and I want to appeal to all those clubs which have problems in reporting. Please report and ensure that our district is in order so that we are able to proceed well. Finally, I want to talk just something small about scholarships. This year, we have awarded 3 scholarships. One lady from Ethiopia, she's called Amina Ahmed. She has won a scholarship.
We can't get, we are in red.
In Sweden.
Unmute.
PDG, you are muted, PDG, please. You are muted.
Okay. So nobody has been hearing what I've been saying all along? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you've been talking
from
to
scholarships, from the scholarships.
Oh, scholarships. We have only 3 scholarships which have been given this year. That is a Peace Scholar from a lady in going to Uppsala University, and a lady going to UK for medicine, and a gentleman going for water engineering in Holland. And we have an offer for anybody who wants a master's degree in engineering and you qualify, please apply. There is an offer. Thank you very much, Tito.
All right. Thank you very much, PDG Peter. And now I will go back to the slide. Let me just put it up. Thank you. So we now go to the membership report. And this one is supposed to be done by the membership chair, Dr. Joe Kamau, but no.
I think it's the finance report. Sorry. Tito. Sorry, Tito. I think the next report, the one that's appearing, is the finance report.
Yes, that's the finance report.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, District Governor, for giving us the opportunity. District leaders, Rotarians, and Rotaractors. First, let me convey apologies from the ex-co-chair who has not been feeling well, but is getting better. He sent me with his apologies. The first slide on the finance report is just for this year we billed 2890 members, and the total amount billed is 49,000. We've collected 36,944. So our collections as at the end of the year were at the 75% mark. So during the first quarter of this year, we shall be reaching out to the 25%. Maybe the next slide. the biggest. I just wanted to go through some of our achievements. I think for this year, what happened is we did an austerity budget, and the austerity budget, the biggest thing in the austerity budget, because of the COVID-19, the impact of COVID-19 involved reducing the dues from $25, the district dues from $25 to $17. And I just wanted to commend the district governor, because for us to have this austerity budget and to do that reduction, the district governor took, I think, the biggest hit in his allowance. So thank you, district governor, for leading from the top. The other thing is, from a compliance perspective, we are required to have finalized the audit of the district accounts. And that was finalized by the 30th of September, which is a set deadline. And the accounts were signed off by the immediate past district governor, Joe Tin, the ex-co-chair, Leonard Ithao, and myself on the 27th of October. We also did, in addition to the district audit, because the biggest component of that audit was the emergency response. We also had a special financial audit on the emergency response, which looked at all the income and expenditure, and that one was completed in December and signed off in December. And this one was signed off again by the immediate past district governor, Joe Tin, the emergency response chair, Joe Kamau, and myself. Again, I've talked about collecting 75% of the dues. We know that this has not been an easy year, but we continue to collect the dues. And maybe the last slide. I just think that it's also good to say the challenges we're experiencing, and the district governor in his presentation has alluded to the biggest issue we are actually dealing with is governance. And again, I think from this has been happening for the last maybe 5 years. I've been having visibility on what happens in the district. The biggest qualification challenge still remains clubs unable to produce a set of accounts. For the first time during this year, we said that people will produce a quarterly financial account, all presidents. And this was a very simple report. You just show, this is my bank balance, the amount of money I received, the amount of money expended, and the closing balance. Just to see that people are looking at their finances. And the statistics are dismal. I think in Q1, only 21 out of 120 clubs were able to submit at the simplest of financial reports. And Q2, so far, we've only received 2. The other thing we noticed, a big challenge I noticed is, as we went around the clubs with the district governor for his visits, many clubs still experience challenges in handing over financial assets. And I mean, these are just a simple handover from when transition is taking place from one president to the next. Sometimes even in October, November, we visited clubs where signatories had not been changed. And so these small governance and financial issues still remain a major concern for the district. I think I have one more slide about what we are going to do on the 2nd. Looking ahead for this year, the biggest thing is we want to then relook at the budget, and we are going to go back to the $25. We want to call it, we are building, I think the austerity is ending, and hopefully by March, by the end of this quarter, a substantial amount of Rotarians shall have started receiving vaccines. So we need to look at how we can build back the district better. And the good thing with having an austerity budget, it also gives you a chance to then look from a zero base. What do we want moving forward? And you're working with the district governor-elect, Alex, to do this. One of the biggest changes in the budget is, I think, for the DRFC and grants. I think we are planning to allocate maybe 12.5 to 15% of the budget to support the DRFC in looking for this, in trying to handle these governance issues, especially with grants, because we recognize that this still remains the biggest risk to the district. And I won't belabor the point. The district governor and DRFC, Peter, have already talked about it. And lastly is also for qualification, we are thinking of taking very bold steps in terms of, since qualification starts on 1st of October, we want everybody to use RI principles, where people are required to furnish a set of accounts 90 days when they leave office. And this means that all current audits must be availed to us by 30th September. And instead of then qualifying clubs with a set of audited accounts, which is over 1 year old, we'll then be using the most current set of accounts for qualification. And that's going to be a very bold step. And one of the things the DRFC audit commissioned by RI has said is that these audits must then also be accompanied by management letters from your auditors. So I think that's going to be a substantial change, but I think it's a pill we have to swallow to start bringing this grants problem under control. In the second half of the year, we are going to give you maybe January and February, and then we'll be posting the people who still owe money on all the president's group and to all Rotarians, so that the Rotarians can then hold their clubs accountable for either not remitting dues to RI, the district, or the country. Thank you. That's the end of my presentation.
All right. Thank you very much, District Treasurer George. And now we go to the district membership chair, and this was supposed to be done by Dr. Joe Kamau, but he got an emergency and could not be able to be with us today. So our district governor is going to present on this behalf. So DG, karibu.
Thank you very much, Tito, and for the Rotarians on the call. Dr. Joe Kamau had an emergency that made it impossible for him to present today. So I'll do the presentation on his behalf, because this is another of my key focus areas in the district. This is just statistics so that you're aware of what it is, where we sit as a zone, as a district. But for us as District 921 to the 31st of December, we were #1 in membership growth in Africa, which is zone 22. And we are #7 worldwide in terms of growth. And this is after cleaning up and losing quite a few members, which you'll see a bit later on. And let's go to the next slide. This is the district growth summary. We started with 122 clubs. We've chartered 5 to 127. There are 3 clubs which are relatively inactive at the moment. And there are 79 clubs that have less than 25 members. And here starts one of our big problems, because most of the clubs that are non-compliant in terms of reporting, in whatever reason, whether it is financial reporting and so forth, fall into this category. And it means, therefore, that we need to increase the numbers in those clubs to have the manpower and capacity to be able to ensure that governance and compliance can be achieved. In terms of membership, the numbers are there. Our total new members, net, as it were, at the end of December was 385, meaning that we've had an increase of only 13.04%. Our target was a 50% increase in the year, but if you remember, if you look at the just before the 31st of December, we had approximately 21% growth. So it means that we've lost almost 8% of our members over December. Let's continue. This is just a quick snapshot of clubs information. 5 clubs chartered to date, 25 are in the pipeline. And these may mature this year or next year. And in Rotaract, exactly the same as Kennedy has just spoken to you about. Next slide. This is more of a bit more granularity around membership. If you look at the clubs with the highest number of new members net as at the end of December, Mombasa is leading in the district with 25 new members, and I was there for that event. Ridgeways and Lavington Echo 21, and Bakassi, you can read all of them down. And so that is in terms of absolute numbers. When you go to the other side, you will see percentage, and this percentage is more for bragging rights. But you will see that the Rotary Club of Limuru, which is struggling with membership, has increased by 113%. Our target was 50% membership growth, and these are the clubs that have actually been able to grow above the target that you had as a district. The numbers are not big, but it means that work is going on and they'll grow. Let's go to the next slide. And this is now on the other side. The club with the highest negative percentage growth, and again, this is it could be an issue of numbers, is Nairobi Mashariki at 64%. And you can see down there, my own club, Muthaiga, 31%, and then all the way down. So these are the top, sort of the bottom 10 or the top 10 of the negative. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you will see the clubs with the highest loss of members. as at the end of the year. This is in sheer numbers. Mudaga leads with 27, and then it comes down very rapidly down to 5. And we lost a large number of members at the end of the year. Let's continue. Clubs less than 25 members. This is a statistic just to give you a view of how they look. So between 21 and 24, you got 19. Between 16 and 20, you've got 22. Between 11 and 15, you got 24. And then less than 10, we've got 14 clubs. There's a lot of work being done in that area with a special team that has been set up to try and help those clubs to grow and improve on their membership. In terms of percentage growth, again, you see on the right-hand side, those are the clubs that have had the highest percentage. And most of them, as you can see, are very small clubs. Let's continue. This is what it looks like graphically in terms of our growth during the course of the last 6 months. We started the year at the 1st of July with 2,952 and ended up with 3,337. And we've been growing steadily. And what happens every year is that December, we lose people because of not paying subs and so forth. And this is an action that as membership team, there's going to be a big focus on making sure that clubs handle the people before it reaches a cutoff point, understands what it is, and begins to make sure that they don't go out. Next slide, please. Attendance, we're looking at getting an 80% attendance. We haven't really been able to make a dent on this. We were doing quite well at the beginning in July when we started off with Zoom meetings and everybody's extremely excited. But if you look at the statistics, the blue lines, you look at the number of clubs that report in terms of the of attendance, we've only got 94 clubs out of 127 that were reporting at the beginning of the year. Currently, we've dropped down to 51 out of 127 as of December. It means several things. Either clubs are not meeting or clubs are not reporting. But I suspect it is a format that clubs are not meeting at the moment. And that, I think, is a big disgrace for us as a district, that we really need to start getting back into being Rotary. Although we've got the challenge of COVID, we can't use that as an excuse anymore. We have to go back and continue with the digital meetings, if that is the case, the chairs of the club, or have socially distanced meetings if you want to go physical. But I urge that all clubs, please make sure that this particular item is corrected, because if we don't get attendance, we won't get things done, and our members are basically telling us they are on their way out because they're not attending meetings. This, for me, is the biggest concern in the district in terms of a bellwether, an indicator about the state of membership in the district. Let us try and get attendance up to 80%. Only then will we be able to say as a district that you're performing in terms of membership growth. Thank you very much. I think that is a short presentation on membership. Tito?
All right, thank you very much, DG, for that update on behalf of our district membership chair. And now we go to the District National Service and Partnerships Chair, Isaac Etobo. So, Isaac, very good.
Thank you very much. You have my slides ready? Tito?
Yes, just getting it up.
Sorry. I want to start with the disk. I have two quick presentations, and I'll try and be very quick like my predecessors, PDG and DG. I just want to do the two slides on disk. Let's go to the disk one. All attendees, the plan was I'll only touch on 2 slides, but my presentation has more slides because one needs background to review and study, use it as a reference. So Tito is going to put the district chair's slides, but I'll only touch on 2. Okay, please go to the next slide. The next slide. Oh yes, hold on to that. There'll only be 2 slides there. Rotary International Objectives. Those are the objectives. I won't read them. I've bolded the first and the fourth one as opportunity for service and also building goodwill with other partners. And the DISC was redefined. There's always been an office of District International Service Chair, but this was redefined and given the acronym of DISC because there was need to focus on projects and have the success rate. There was a lot of returning of projects from TRF in Chicago for not being complete. And there was need to relook at it and avail resources that can help the journey. Also the reporting and the finalization of projects. You've gone fast. Go back to the slide you are. Okay, yeah. So for that reason, yeah, I'll let you know when to move. For that reason, there was need to have clubs present, nominate people who can follow and run with the projects. And this has been done very well by our district leadership in the DRFC, Peter Mbui and Protas. We've set up a team of experts who will help journey through and have success rates on the projects. It's worked very well. Peter did not mention because I don't think he wanted to blow his own trumpet, but you know, we were reporting at 75, at 70, but now we are reporting at 80. The success rate has improved. He's put a very ambitious target of reporting at 90. And how do you get projects? Acquaintance is very important. There's somebody in Uganda who told, we had this DISC seminar and she said, people don't give projects money, they give acquaintances. How do we get there for acquaintance? We can move to the next slide now. How do you get to know who you can work with? Because I've had a lot of inquiries from people calling me and said, oh, we have a project, we need a partner, can you get us? That was actually very easy all along. But then last year, there's a twist because of COVID. I know everybody's reading this slide, so let me give you a minute or two to just go through. Project fairs, this happen all the time. There's one coming up in Uganda, and we are discussing that. We just started serious discussions. I know Jackie Musyoka of Milimani, she attended the one in Tanzania 2 years ago. And you know Janet Mathenge, Muthaiga, Karen, organized the one, I was part of the team that organized the one in Mombasa during our district conference. There you are. There are other opportunities, Rotary Friendship Exchange. Some of you may be aware, others may not, but that gives you a feel. We've had Rotarian visitors. They're really begging that they want to host us during their DCA in May. And Jane has handled this before. And we will get a team together to manage this. What happens is you go and visit the district and meet other Rotarians there and get to build acquaintances so that you can have projects together. There's something else which may not be very familiar to many people, ICC, not the one we have up there in The Hague, but this is inter-country country committees. These are other bodies that are formed where clubs get interact. I want to draw you to the Taiwan one, which is 2 districts that have been asking for collaboration with us. And they want to do that in a, let me stop my phone. And they want to do those that meeting early next year. And you notice, sometime in this year and next year. And you notice Taiwan is where we have our, in June, there's a district conference there. And I can see there are about 171 members from our district who have teamed up there. The last one, oh yeah, the other one is the Africa Centennial Conference, which is going to happen in South Africa. Little history. This year, Rotary is 100 years in Africa. It started in South Africa, then went to Egypt, and then came to Kenya. The Nairobi club, the one that meets at Laiko, is the third club in Africa. But the first one was in South Africa, and there's a conference going on, which is, and we have a district team where the district, the DGs, DGN, DGE, and the current district and some past district governors are part of this team in planning on participation and showcasing our project on what has happened before and the impact we've had in society and moving forward. So these projects, once we attend these functions, because we should not just sit here, and Rotary is about, when we join, we are inducted and told, once you're a Rotarian and wear the badge, you are a member of 35,000 clubs in the world. And those are looking for people to work with. Because if you go to the object of Rotary, it's about building goodwill across the world, not just doing what we can do in our little community area. Rotary supports those. And in fact, to be able to get funds from Rotary Foundation, we have to have an international collaborating club so that you can do projects that way. That is one of the first requirements. You must be working with another club out there. And remember, when we are being asked here to contribute, funds by the DG and the PDG, Peter, is we put the money into the district foundation, and that money is ours. We are not begging for it. When it comes for a project, it's your money to use. But if you don't put any money, you will not have any money to do any of your projects. We have $11 million projects currently going on. I imagine, I think we must have contributed less than 100,000, less than 500,000 towards those actual projects. So we get much more than we had given. So please, let's support projects and let's report, like our treasurer has told us. Because if we don't report, we'll be embarrassed in these projects. I don't want to go over the next slides because those slides pertain to, I'll share them when I think our district secretary will share so that you can read everything through there. I want to do the GPE slide and then I move out. McKenna is on the screen and I think I wanted a very beautiful, but can I show? Yeah, let's go to the next. Please move to the blue, the green, move on. Let's move on. Aha. Oh, go back a little, go back a little. Sorry. Go back again, please. I would like to start there. Rotary and the Global Partnership for Education, GPE in short. GPE funds a lot of projects in ministries of education all over. All the members in this group, Ethiopia, Sudan. I have even seen members, people attending our meeting from India. They all receive these funds. There's been an urge by the GPE. They want to see where does our money go? What impact does it have at the local level? GPE is a World Bank organization. They cannot go down to the level. They come and they meet the ministers in the capitals of the country, and they discuss the programs, have meetings in Washington, and funds are released to the ministry through Treasury. But where does the money go really, and how is it impacting on the society? There's been discussions with Rotary and Global Partnership. It started in Toronto. It involves even our district, our TRF trustee, Gita, was involved that time. And it's come down to the project can go on. Rotary have partnered, and it will be a long-term partnership. This is the idea is to start this. Turkana is a county in Kenya. Turkana was picked, is on the northern side of Kenya. It was picked because Rotary, the GP requested for that. First of all, they requested that it be, the first project be done in Kenya. Secondly, they said they would like that Turkana County. And their argument is that if it will work in Turkana with you guys, Rotarians, then it will work elsewhere. Because the idea is carry out this project in Turkana. We've been asked to select schools. There are about 50 schools that the project will involve. This is, and I'll share that slide a little later, exactly with the scope of the project. And if we're going to run that project there, then spread it to the country and within the district. So it will go to Ethiopia, it will go to South Sudan. That template will then move to another 5 countries in Africa, which one of them already is to Uganda, that they are waiting for this success to use it in their country. And from there, it will go across the oceans to go South Africa, South America, and south part of Asia. So it's a very ambitious and a very big project for Rotary. What is going to happen, it's going to involve almost half of, if not all, the clubs in our district. We are already talking to Ethiopia. Ethiopia has very good initiatives on getting schooled, leaving no one behind. There should be nobody left behind. Why Kenya was one of the reasons why Kenya was picked is because of the 100% transition concept and universal education, which seems to was advocated by GPE, but few countries took it up rigorously and delivering. So Kenya was chosen on that. But this is for a district-wide concept, but it will roll out all through the country. And I'm very pleased to see that the district leadership, the current, the one before, the current, and the one coming for the next 2-3 years, they are all supportive and in this project. I would like to show the next slide, please, quickly. Okay, this is the numbers. Transition, number 51, only half of them go to the further education. And there is also a big challenge on the last one, girls of age, school age. Let me explain it, that 1.3. When there's an earthquake in Chile, or something like has happened somewhere in Jakarta, there was an earthquake yesterday in Jakarta. All the infrastructure is broken and people go home. They don't go home for 6 months like COVID does done. They go home for 2 years or a year and a half before infrastructure can come back. And they need to be kept busy. Now, what has happened is it's been found out of 4 boys and 4 girls, you'll find the boys will go back, but 1 or 2 of the girls can't go back. Why? Because they are pregnant, or they were married off, or they were given chores in the family and now cannot go back to school. They are supporting the family. That has become a very key issue, and you've seen it out of COVID. We started this project before COVID came about. It was started 2018. 2018. When they came, the GPE came for their board meeting in Kenya. And those things came about and studies have been done. And now when COVID came, because that affected the whole world, and the whole world you can see, well, except maybe developed world, but any developing countries, you found that girls are very disadvantaged. Now in Africa, we have issues about conflict, we have flooding, famine, all those affect us, and the same thing happens to the girl child. So there's focus on that to bring the girls back to school. And but you can see all the numbers there, that only a few people got back to school. GP is willing to support. While we've been talking to them, the team that's in Rotary Rotary International, Rotary Kenya. We've been talking to GPE. They were able to, in June, let me give you one example. And I know they funded Ethiopia and they funded South Sudan as well. I'll give you an example of Kenya. They funded a tune of $11 million in April, May, because of the COVID, to help keep teachers, because that's the other challenge. If you close for a long time, teachers have to have a livelihood. The livelihood, what they do, they change profession. So when schools will open, they are not available. That results in this. Let's see whether we have another slide there. Oh yes, I needed, as I close, I needed to share with you the team that we've been working with. Due to COVID and difficulty in the start-stop decision by the government, we haven't covered the ground as we would have wished by now. But things are back on traction and we are moving on. The team that we need to have an in-country committee, which we are going to do also in Ethiopia, and we are going to do in South Sudan. These members here are either in education and mentorship of young people. They have such programs, or they also have projects in Turkana. That's number 1 to 7. That's the main team. There's one person who's also been helpful in preparing flyers, Emily in Langata. Her name is not here. As I told you, the district leadership has really been involved, and this has been very helpful because that's what also Rotary would like to see. In next month, I think in coinciding with the celebration of birthday of Rotary, there will be a meeting. This project is managed by John Huko, who is the General Secretary of Rotary International, and Alice Albright, who is the CEO of GPE. So it's really getting high visibility. I think in June this year, there is a GPE meeting, which was meant to be in Kenya, but now will happen, I think, in London. And it will be a hybrid meeting to discuss the progress on this project, because the world is watching and wants to see what Rotary can do. The reason why Rotary is involved is the success rate of polio. The world took notice of how Rotarians worked to eliminate or nearly do that on polio, and that's why we've been involved in this project. I close my presentation there. We will share the slides, the whole set later. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, our International Service Chair. And now at least members can understand how the docket works and who to approach to when they need that kind of support. Now we go to our district program chair, Janet Masharia, and just before she comes on, I would like to request, if you have a question, just put it on chat so that the different chairs who are on this session will respond. So, program chair Janet, are you on?
Yep. Yes, I'm on, Tito. Please go ahead. Good morning, Rotarians, and belated Happy New Year greetings. I'm going to start off with the next slide. I will not go into the introduction because I think the DG did a good job in introducing the new look programs committee. I'll just briefly let you know what it looks like, and that's showing on the slide. Okay, so the District Programs Committee handles the RI programs. This includes Interact, Exchanges, RILA, Polio, and the VTT. We also have a subcommittee also dealing with the district partnerships, and I'll go into greater detail on this. We also coordinate programs and projects which are under the 7 focus areas that the DG mentioned. And we also have a subcommittee that addresses what we call ad hoc responses. And in particular, because of the current situation, we are looking at COVID-19 programs. Next slide, please. Just briefly about the RI programs, considering the nature of these programs and their varied nature, we have split them into 2 clusters so that it's easy to manage them. So we have a cluster that deals with engaging with local communities, and also a cluster that deals with Rotary Interactions team. And overall, all these 2 clusters are managed by a sub-chair who has actually been able to interact with the different clubs and the different groups in terms of making sure that the RI programs are continuing. I'll give an example of one of them. Next slide, please. I'm just going to give a brief report on the new generation's activities. And many of you know this is where we have our very active Interact clubs. The Interact clubs for this year, the Interact club, District Interact club was very active in 2020, actually, and they did quite a lot of things considering that many of them were working from home. They had a number of activities. They had My Interact Experience, which was held on the 19th of September. They had the New Generation's virtual coffee session, which was held on the 26th of September. They had the Alumni Reconnect Week. They participated rather in the Alumni Reconnect Week by Rotary International. This was from the 5th to the 11th of October. And they also made a contribution, a submission to the 2020 Interact Awards. Next slide. Next slide, please. In addition, they had the Cultural Exchange Evening. This was between Kenya and India, and this was held on the 31st of October. And the DGs from both districts, that is our district 9212 and district 3250, also graced this occasion. It was actually very interesting to see how this cultural exchange was organized virtually. They also participated in the 2020 Interact Week, which is celebrated from 2nd to 8th of November. And also they have established what they call the monthly Rotaract Interact stories. Basically, this is how to look into different ways in which the interactors and the Rotaractors can work and collaborate, and also maximize opportunities to collaborate at the district level. And lastly, they've also participated in the World Volunteers Day. Now I'm sharing this because many of us actually do not get an opportunity to see how our interactors are working. And just to show you that within 6 months, they have done so much, and there's a lot that is coming up for this next 6 months. So appreciation to Monica Mohia, who is the District Interact Chair, and also the overall RI Programs Chair, which is Gideon Akwabi. Let's go to the next slide. With regard to partnerships, we have continued to build on the momentum of making sure that the partnerships that, the MOUs that were inherited from the time of Joe team are now being made operational, and likewise also trying to have new partnerships developed with key interested parties. So our current partnerships, or rather MOUs, are with Davies and Shatcliffe, which fall into the WASH docket, Gertrude's Children's Hospital, which fall into the health docket, UNEP, Adapt a River MOU, and the WWF Afforestation MOU, both of them fall into the environment docket. We have the Customs PLZ, which falls again into WASH docket, and also COVID-19 response. And also the most recent is the UNICEF Kenya Country Office and Rotary Partnership for Washing Schools for Back to School initiative, which cuts across health, education, and WASH, and a bit of sustaining growing local community dockets. We are still in the process of discussing other MOUs, and we will let you know about them. Now, because many clubs, not because, but rather it's important that many clubs get involved in benefiting in this partnership. So we are planning to continue holding webinars to bring you more information about these partnerships and how you can join. So our partnerships director is Amos Olocholunya, and he will also be getting across to everybody. Now, unfortunately, many of these MOUs are covering Kenya, but we are hopeful that we'll be able to see whether we can have other MOUs that will be covering the other 2 countries, that is South Sudan and Ethiopia. Next slide, please. in terms of, I'll just give you an example, a few of activities that have taken place in the focus areas. And thank all of you who participated in the activities, in particular the World Polio Day activities and the Cancer Day awareness activities, and also the global hand washing activities. World Polio Day activities were held mainly in October. We had a district webinar, which was held on 17th of October. We also had a district polio workshop, which was held on the 24th of October. We also had a walk that was held again in October, and a tree planting event that was held hosted by the Rotary Club of Gong and attended by more than 30 clubs, and also graced by the presence of the Minister for Environment, Honorable Kiraiko Tobiko. In addition, we had the World Cancer Day activities. We had an awareness talk, we had a webinar, and again, a lot of information was shared. And lastly, the Global Hand Washing Day activities also took place, and the DG also made a presentation. And there was a lot of commitments that were made during this time. And one of our Rotarians, scholars, also got an award during this time. These activities fall within the health docket. In addition, our growing local communities team has developed what we call Adapter Village, which is a big concept, an interactive approach to looking at how to break the cycle of poverty in extremely impoverished communities. And this Adapter Village concept, and you'll be hearing more about it, another project is going to be running from 2020 to 2023, and its components include microfinance, Generation Unlimited, low-cost housing, and women's empowerment. So this really takes in a lot of the smaller activities and projects that we had in the past, and we have combined them into a comprehensive approach and coordinated approach in how we can address the cycle, never-ending cycle of poverty. The other is an initiative which falls in the environment docket, and that's End Pollution Initiative, which encompasses the End Plastic Pollution campaign. And already a lot of work has been going on in creating awareness about the end pollution. And you'll see that this also cuts across the work that is done in the Adapter River initiative. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, one of our key KPIs in the district strategy is to develop high impact turnkey projects. And the different focus area chairs have been working for the last 6 months to see what is it that we can say these are really high level turnkey projects. So some of this are still work in progress, but I just want to share 3 potential high impact projects, which, like I said, are in different stages of development and implementation. They will start to be implemented countrywide with a view of expanding them to have a district-wide impact. One is the Adapter River Initiative, which didn't just start last year. The work towards the Adapter River Initiative has been going on for the last 3 years, and I think now we can see it has really concretized, and it's really I've seen a lot of initiative coming up for more than 30, 40 clubs who are really interested in cleaning up our rivers. And in addition, also ensuring that there's environmental sustainability. So it's a comprehensive initiative. Now we have an MOU. It was signed in 2019, an MOU with UNEP. And on Tuesday, we'll be having a webinar which is going to be led by IPDG Joe Otin, who is actually the person co-chairing this initiative with UNEP, and they're going to tell us where we are going forward with this. I also want to indicate that Ethiopia also has an Adapter River initiative, and we are hoping that we can now start building on this initiative, a very exciting project they have. They've also raised funds for it, and it's looking at developing a theme park around restoration of a river. So please make a point of attending the webinar that will be hosted on Tuesday. The other is a tree planting challenge. The environment team has come up with what we call a tree planting challenge. We are looking to be planting 1 million trees per year per country. And so far, we've planted 50,000 trees since May, but we are not giving up. And the programs committee, that's the Environment Programs Committee, will be reaching out to South Sudan and Ethiopia to see where we are in the tree planting challenge. And this will attract awards during the 2021 DCA, and a flyer on this will be shared. The third, next slide, please. The third potential Turnkey project is the Back to School WASH initiative, which cuts across health, education, WASH, and sustainable communities focus areas. And this has been developed under an MOU with Unicef Kenya, and will initially cover 400 schools in 10 counties in Kenya. And many of you have been receiving, in fact, not just many of you, all clubs have been receiving communication through the Rotary Kenya Country Office about the Back to School initiative. And please, we really want all of us to be able to support this, because it has a potential to spread not only in our district, but also to other parts of other districts in Rotary. So basically, we already have a school selection task force. We have a project implementation team, and already county level launches have taken place. So let us support this initiative. Next slide, please. We also have the under the docket, like I said, of ad hoc responses, is the COVID-19 responses. And clubs have continuously been asking us for food hampers, hand wash stations, and soap. So we keep on looking to see who is it that can support us in this aspect. We have received 200 food hampers from the Hindu Council, and these were given to Rotary Club of Muthaiga and distributed amongst communities in Kangemi. And we are looking to restoring our relationship with the Hindu Council to see how else we can benefit from their donations. Stanbic Kenya is a very good potential partner, in the sense that we may have to do an MOU with them, but they have helped us distribute additional 300 hand washing stations amongst the Juakali sector through Ministry of Trade. Actually, it's not 300, it's a mistake. It's actually 240 stations, hand washing stations, because 60 stations were allocated to support back to school readiness. And we have already distributed these 60 hand wash stations with Rotary clubs in the areas in Nyali, Digo, Changamwe, Malindi, Kisumu, Eldoret, Nakuru, Naivasha, Meru, Nyanyuki, and Thika. So this is something that's going to be ongoing. Under the Castles PLZ MOU, this actually is covering areas of Ruaraka and Babadogo, and already two sites have been identified. And in the partnership, we're already starting to look into how to develop, to do ablution blocks, hand washing station blocks, and also to start doing community awareness. So this is work in progress, and the person who is coordinating this will get in touch with the respective clubs. Now, with respect to challenges, there are a number of challenges, certainly. Like the DG said, this is a new way of developing and implementing programs in the district. So that means it will take time to be internalized, and also for us to change the way we are working. And I do want to appreciate the focus area chairs who have been really working very, very closely and working very hard to make this, this whole aspect work. Of course, we need to have rules and procedures that must be followed, especially for accountability of our work. And this can be shared throughout with you through our webinar. Certainly, we need a strong M&E mechanism to ensure accountability and achievement of results. And this is something that, again, we found is a challenge and has been alluded to by previous speakers, that we really need to strengthen our M&E. Now, the other thing is that our Interact team has also pointed out that as much as their efforts to create awareness about Interact, there's still been a big gap when it comes to adequate knowledge about Interact by Rotarians and Interactors. They want to appreciate the support they have received from clubs in Rotaract and Rotarian clubs in Ethiopia, in terms of ensuring that the Interact clubs there are active and you know, achieving their objectives. And they're calling upon the other countries, and in particular the Kenyan clubs, Rotary and Rotaract continue supporting them. Lastly, Tito, I just want to appreciate the focus area chairs. I want to appreciate Gideon Akwabi, who's running the RI programs. I want to appreciate Amos Olucholunya, who's our partnerships director. I want to appreciate Josephine Ojambo, heading health. I want to appreciate Isabella Kamere and Margaret Lesuda, heading education. I want to appreciate Modoni Mahinda, running environment, and also appreciate Eric Dega, who's also my deputy, and Raki Kantaria, running the growing local economies, and Sharon Wanyaki, who's helping us with the ad hoc responses. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, our programs chair, Janet, and to all the Rotarians who are on this call. I know a lot of you are seeing a lot of information happening in the district, so just reach out to any of the programs chair or any of the chairs and get the support that you need. A lot is happening, and we can really change a lot of lives by working together. So next, I want to invite our district conference and assembly chair, Paul Kasimo. Karibu.
Thank you, Tito. I will try to see first exciters in terms of where we are in terms of the DCA. We committed, the DG said one of the things we want to have is a conference like no other, out of Africa experience, exciting like never. Degree of nationality, and what we've now done is that we've moved to the site. I don't know whether hello, I'm back again. Tito, do you have the next slide? Hello. Yeah. So we've settled on Olpejeta. It is still like Kipia. It's a conservatory that is our now preferred site. 12 kilometers off the main road, Nanyuki, just after Equator. Before Nanyuki, you turn left, you do 12 kilometers, 5 of which is tarmac. Next slide is we also looked at potential areas for where we want to have a dome. So that is one area that we wanted for the main event on the Friday and Saturday. Next slide will show you just some pictorials of where we landed. It's a Tito, next slide, please. I'm trying to see if I can save on time. So, I mean, this is where we would want to do the main plenary. It's a nice lit place, very amazing. Not far from the Rhino Cemetery in Olpejeta, very beautiful. Next slide just shows you where we'll be doing our Morani's restaurant adjacent to Kongoni Donga, which is another amazing place. Can hold up to 500 packs. Next slide shows you where we'll do the evening dinners, which we are calling Gorkit, bush dinner and after party. You can sit even over 1,000 people, and I will speak to that in terms of also the COVID protocols. Next slide, Tito. We are speaking of now the venue that we will be our main host, or the main place where we'll be. So Sweetwater's which is the Serena bit, and we'll use it for the training on Thursday, but also the cocktail for DG cocktail on the Thursday. Next one shows you the accommodation options that we have. Now, we've looked at
Unaosha gari Naoma. Unaosha gari Naoma.
Okay. Okay, let's see how we can continue. So Serena Sweetwater. Can somebody mute Tito? So Serena Sweetwaters has 56 tents, which we have now blocked. 39 of those are standard rooms. They are going for 12,000 per night, while the deluxe are starting at 14, and you can share. So 56 tents there. We also have, with about 8 kilometers from the venue space, is Mount Kenya Wildlife Estate, which has 20, not rooms, but 20 houses. These houses are within about 3 to 5 rooms, and therefore you can host up to about 150 people. The rates for the Mount Kenya Wildlife Estate would be per night, per person, something like 4,000 or less, just about 4,000. Self-catering, but fantastic houses within Olpejeta. We also have provision for tents within Sweetwaters, 15 of those. We'll get the pricing. And what we found is there are also another 3 other sites, etc., which can also host up to about 300 people if you looked at the facilities around that. And I will thank in advance AG Monica, who has been amazing in terms of trying to coordinate on the ground. The next slide shows you some concept that we think would also be exciting. And this is the one about having a Rotary Village. So this is something similar to what we have for the Hippo point. It's Hippo height, but it's similar to the Rhino Charge or the Lewa, those who have done the Lewa. And we found that we can have up to about 150 tents on the site. It's along a river bend. It's amazing. And we think if there is anything, it will give us the out of Africa experience like no other. I think that brings us to, I want to go to the final piece. Tito, if you can just move next, which is the running order for the day. And this is my last slide. And this just says, Thursday is really the arrival, check-in, the training that will be done for the courts, and then the cocktail. Inviting people to come for the cocktail. Friday will be the plenary sessions, which will also culminate with the gala dinner. The plenary sessions are 4 thematic areas. So there will be a speaker on disruption. There's a speaker on youth. There's a speaker on creating kind of giving unlimited. So really, really great ones. I will not say who they are because we've already started getting in touch with them to see whether we can farm up. Saturday will be fun. And the main event, which is why we would want to ask the PEs to become our go-to installation change light day. We don't want to kill people with presentation. So that will be also another time when people can just relax, connect, and become absolutely excited. Amazing closeout. And then Sunday, we are saying we want to have real fun activities. And what we've started to do is we have now special interest groups, golfing, there's yoga, there's riders, game watchers, and what we've done, and also Eco Club, maybe environmentalists. Olpejeta has given to plant as many trees as we want, so they'll be preparing a ground along near maybe the Chimbazi place. So that is another activity that we could have. But that is optional for those who want to do it. What we are now promising is more engagement, more communication, but it's exciting. Please block your diaries, tag a friend, and see you on the 8th to the 10th of April.
All right, thank you very much, DCA Chair Paul Kasimu. And this will be an action-packed event. I know DG probably mentioned we will have the assembly way before the DCA. So the DCA will just be an excursion, just a moment to bond and learn. So thank you very much. And I now invite the district training and learning chair, Dixon Karani. And if you have a question, please just shoot it out in the chat room. We have all the district chairs waiting to respond to them. So Dixon.
Thank you very much, Tito, and thank you, DG, for this opportunity. I'll just highlight first our role as District Training and Learning Committee is basically to support Rotarians in preparing them to be effective to be able to be effective in running of clubs and the district. And therefore, so we work at those theaters of the club, the individual Rotarians, and also the district. And our focus deals with immediate needs of training and also future development in terms of building the next generation of leaders to be able to serve Rotary effectively. Some of the key achievements of the district training team: number one, we have a team of well-trained and empowered AGs, current AGs, presidents, and also club officers, because we had a new approach of using the vast resources that we have on My Rotary, and then supported by online virtual seminars, which was the first time that the district insisted on virtual learning and completion of mandatory trainings on My Rotary. We've also provided, together with other district committees, training on membership, grants, public image, strategy, and so on, which have been very effective. We've also been supporting new clubs that have been chartered. These include Eldama, Rabin, Bungoma, Magharibi, Marsabit, and so on. For the first time ever, also, as I mentioned, that club officers and presidents and AGs have successfully completed role-based trainings on My Rotary, and we have instilled the culture of virtual training and online learning through My Rotary. We're also working on, we've initiated the establishment of Rotary Leadership Institute, which is a separate program of Rotary that focuses on building the next generation of leaders to be able to support Rotary work at club and district levels. We have also participated in the RILA, the virtual RILA that took place in November, which was very, very successful, and also information about this district digital strategy, because we want to have we want to build online learning resources that can be accessed. For example, training videos and seminars are captured and stored electronically so that they can be used as training resources. We're also working on supporting the district governor-elect together with the incoming district trainer in preparing the incoming president-elects and also club officers. Also, another key achievement has been increased visibility of the district and understanding of the district through the many training events that we've done virtually. And for the first time, we've had repeated sessions where all the 3 countries in the district have been able to participate. And we've also noted increased participation from Rotarians in Ethiopia and Southern Sudan, which is commendable. I also want to highlight also another achievement in that besides the district organized training events, training has also been happening through clubs. And we've been working with various clubs and also been championing club organized training events. And some of the notable ones I would want to mention include the Global Grants and Community Assessment training that was organized last month by the Rotary Club of Addis Ababa West, which was very, very good, and which we promoted across the district. We also had a session last month where the General Kiboshi of Kenya also spoke about the military role in supporting peace and all that. And that was very key in building the pillar of Rotary on peace and conflict prevention and so on. And also in November, the RF trustee chair, Rabindran, also spoke about the role of the Rotary Foundation, which was very, very effective. Now, looking ahead, our focus will be on training new Rotarians and also existing Rotarians on Rotary values, ethics, and objects of Rotary, so that we can inculcate good values and promote Rotary. We also want to organize at least 1 cohort of Rotary Leadership Institute trainers, and we'll be putting an advert out very soon for RLI. We're also working with the incoming district trainer, Jen Kachuga, in preparing the incoming AGs, PEs, and club officers. And also we intend to provide 2 country-specific training seminars for Ethiopia and Southern Sudan that address the unique needs of those 2 countries. And also we're working with the RI Europe team in providing training on My Rotary platform, which has been a major issue for club leaders who have been having challenges in using the My Rotary. So we'll be organizing training that will cover both the current and the incoming leadership teams. And also we're working on organizing a district-wide training seminar that will have speakers from across the Rotary world. Next, Tito. Now, my ask is of a number of things that I want to request. That to become a better Rotarian, you have to keep learning. You have to keep learning, and so you learn through district organized training events, club organized training events, and in addition to that, we have the My Rotary resource, which is a powerful resource with wonderful courses, short courses that we should take advantage of. Also, the Rotarian magazine, which many clubs are now subscribing for electronically, is a wonderful training resource that I feel that has been largely ignored. So I would want to encourage everybody to peruse, go through your Rotarian magazine and also the district magazine, the timeline, to be able to know more about what is happening in the Rotary world and discover Rotary and become a better Rotarian, so that you can be able to discover which other opportunities and how you can be able to add value. Also take advantage of the Rotary website, the district websites also for additional resources. And lastly, I want to mention that training happens all the time, everywhere. Let's take advantage of the virtual season where a lot of clubs are holding events with wonderful speakers where we can be able to learn more, to learn more and become better. So thank you very much. Over to you, Tito.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, our district trainer. And I know you've done quite a good job in trying to make sure that at least we get as much information and as much skill as we can as a district. Please post your question to him on the chat and he will respond to them. So next we have our district public image chair, Henry Dirango. Karibu, Henry.
Thank you very much, Tito. I have the pleasure of chairing the Public Image Committee, and I wish to thank the DG for organizing this accountability opportunity. So I'll just talk about the Public Image Committee very briefly and say that we are charged with the responsibility of looking after the reputation of Rotary in the district, and also going ahead to look for opportunities in which we can enrich knowledge about Rotary. I think someone should be muted. Enhancing knowledge about Rotary. Still back on the first slide. And so one of the ways in which we do is to pursue media coverage. We came on the backdrop of our good work around COVID-19 and hand washing, which enabled us to start on a very better basis to understand what Rotary is and what it does. We were able to showcase that. So we've been getting an average of 2 to 3 mentions in the leading media, and I want to thank a number of clubs, some at the coast, some in Nairobi, for the good work. I also understand that our colleagues in Ethiopia are also pursuing media opportunities. So this number may be understated. The World Polio Day was one of the campaigns that we executed well, and I would like to encourage all Rotarians to pursue opportunities with local radio stations. So I work in the field of communications, and I know that the media has become very fragmented in the recent past, and this has led to the proliferation of radio and media, local media, maybe county-based, maybe town-based, maybe city-based. And I want to encourage you because to pursue opportunities with those, to talk about some of your projects, to talk about Rotary, to talk about our values, to talk about the many things that are associated with Rotary, because this fragmented status of the media requires more content, and we have content, and we have subject matter experts, and we have experiences that we can share through this opportunity. So let's keep doing it. Also to mention that this is premised upon the training that we had in July, and Dixon has just mentioned it. Next slide. One of the biggest problems that we've always had is brand guidelines adherence. The compliance has been low in the past, but I spoke to one of our colleagues, one of our team members who looks after the brand guidelines. And in our discussion, we saw that over the last 3 years, there has been very remarkable improvement. More clubs are adhering to brand guidelines, and we will continue training and supporting you One of the things that has enabled us to have better compliance is because people are now meeting online, and therefore they share their posters online. This gives an opportunity for a critique, and for those who do very well, they raise the bar for other clubs. So I want to encourage us that even as we continue to grapple with the challenges posed by COVID and the imperatives that we have adopted, that we continue sharing. We are a bit blindsided when it comes to Ethiopia and South Sudan, but I also want to encourage, and we know that there are obvious challenges. I've seen some work from Ethiopia, very good, and I want to encourage that there be more sharing across board. So we are at more than 90%. Rotaract is doing better than Rotary, but this is commendable, and I believe that you can achieve the 100% brand guidelines adherence. Also, in the same vein, I want to encourage all those who are on this call to have a look at the brand center on My Rotary, and you will be amazed to find that there are many things that are improved. Just to mention that for my part of the PowerPoint presentation, I did not create these slides. I adopted them from a template that is available on My Rotary, and I want to encourage you to continue using, to access the resources and use them as much as you can. Next slide. One of the tools that we use for communications within Rotary is the timeline. The beauty about it is that it's now online, and therefore sometimes people access it even from the outside. We have had, we took a journalistic approach in coming up with the timeline this year. And this is improving, or rather working on the success that PDG Joe Otin laid in his year when he set up the timeline as an online tool as opposed to the physical magazine. We have taken the journalistic approach, and we are now telling stories or being able to peel layers. Therefore, what we would have easily had is stories that read like compositions, but now we have stories that are fit for any media, New York Times, all the way to People Daily, if that is a spectrum to go by. And we want to encourage you to continue communicating to the rave and the wave within the timeline. Access it every month. And I wish to take this opportunity to also apologize that there are a few times we've not been able to hit refresh on the last day of the month. We apologize because of the challenges that we face, and we have been able to address them. With effect from the end of this month, we intend to continue refreshing or having the new stories up on the 31st, or the last day of the month. Thank you very much. These are the only three things that I thought I could talk about within the 5 minutes. And I wish to leave you with this quote, that Rotary has a big heart, big enough heart. If we open our door wider, we might find a lot of interesting people with new voices and new perspectives. And one of the ways in which we open our doors wider is through positive publicity, brand adherence, and sharing in forums such as the timeline and other local media opportunities that may arise. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, our District Public Image Chair, for that. And now we have our District Innovation Chair, Moses Kemibaro. Moses, are you here?
Good morning, Rotarian Tito and fellow Rotarians. Thank you very much for joining us today for this webinar. Tito, if I can have the next slide. So across the digital committee, the innovation committee, what we do is focus on digital platforms and various places where we are doing various things. And the first one is the district website, which in the last 6 months, we've seen almost 800 people and about almost 1,500 page views on the platform. So clearly there's room for more activity there. And these are some of the things we'll be addressing going forward. The timeline has proved to be remarkably popular, over 12,000 unique visitors on the website, and also about 21,000 page views. Facebook has been growing nicely, organically over time. We are almost now at almost 3,000 people following it. LinkedIn, which we only got, I think, in the second half of last year, has already grown to about 76 users, and that's without any without any paid media. And then Twitter currently is sitting at about 800. We're very much in the thick of deploying a digital transformation strategy. You might recall that we shared a survey last year, and we got about 227 respondents, and many of those insights are now actually being incorporated into the digital transformation strategy that we are currently rolling out. And over the course of January and going throughout the rest of the year, we'll be gradually prioritizing certain initiatives, and you'll start seeing some of these coming into play in due course. Next slide, please. We also have a new online registration payment system, which was deployed by Emmanuel Bubu, who's our webmaster for the district, and this is currently being used with the DCA. So the various registrations and payments that are happening online are going through that system. We're also going to be deploying a portal, which is going to be having different types of content, features, and functionalities, and we think it's going to be very exciting because we've sort of analyzed the needs through the transformation strategy, and we see that there are many things that we as Rotarians can benefit from using such a portal. So in the next few months, you'll start seeing that happening. We'll also be launching a monthly email-based newsletter, and the idea, the timeline, link it back to the website and any other initiatives that we have on digital platforms, so that there's a sort of a continuous conversation and communication going on through this platform. Again, sharing of documents, district is something that we're looking to centralize, looking to make more available, and we're looking at deploying a document management system, which will be used as a place where we can sort of centralize and maintain our resources for prosperity. And then lastly, we're also exploring the aspect of commercialization of our digital assets. We do have many Rotarians and content and organizations that would like to interact with us. And therefore, we see an opportunity there where we might be looking at aspects such as advertising and sponsorship of our digital platforms, which in turn will generate revenues for our activities. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, our District Innovations Chair. And I know there's a lot more that we're expecting to come from the docket. So now we go to the country chairs, and let's start with the South Sudan country chair, Stephen Tutu. Stephen Tutu, are you online? All right, looks like we're able to get our South Sudan country chair. So basically what I will do, I'll just present for them, but Stephen, I don't think he's around. Okay, so since I have the slide, I just want to start by saying one of the successes that the Southern Sudan team has had is managing to register the Southern Sudan office as an NGO, which is a big step. And one, aside from complying to what the country needs, also it gives them now a platform where they can address a number of the issues. Then they also got to open a country bank account, and for some time they haven't been collecting the country dues due to the fact that first they didn't have the country office, and they didn't have a chance to do that. So now they're able to do that, and then they have a constitution in terms of composition of the country team, and that one has a representative from all the clubs in Southern Sudan and the Southern Sudan leadership. And then they have been doing a lot of work supporting and identifying some of the emerging leaders who can actually be mentored and take an active role in Rotary. The other thing is on the COVID response, they've been doing a lot of distribution of PPEs to health facilities under the emergency program, so that they can boost the COVID-19 response of the health facilities. Secondly, they've also been able to sign one agreement in a partnership with the Stanbic Bank, still on COVID response. And the most importantly is they have been able to foster a very conducive atmosphere for teamwork and unity in Southern Sudan. And what this has done is has made all clubs to get together and also have the involvement of the Rotaractors, and a lot of improved communication between the country chair, the district, and the Rotarians in Southern Sudan. It has really worked very well. Then some of the challenges they've been facing is that different clubs have been having a lot of different ways of doing things, and they've also been having a lot of challenges when it comes to recruiting members. So they're pushing and pushing, but it's a challenge that is that faces them. And then the effect of COVID has also hit their members really hard, and especially in terms of finances, and they've really been losing some members from the clubs in South Sudan. And then they've also been having challenges having funds to run the country office, but now with a bank account and then with a request to members to start giving some annual fee to support the country office, they should start being okay. And then there's a serious challenge when it comes to internet, and this one we faced even when you're having online discussions with them. And then low Rotary awareness in the country, and that's very slow recruitment. There is need for people to understand Rotary and to know Rotary in South Sudan. And one of the things that they were recommending is they would like to have a lot of trainings to boost the membership down there in Southern Sudan, and also increase the awareness of Rotary within the community. And they're actually requesting that if it is possible, let us start having some of these district events like this year being done in Southern Sudan. That way, they start enhancing their visibility and their presence amongst their own communities. So that is it from the Ethiopian country chair, Stephen Tutu. So we have that's also Southern Sudan. So now we have the Ethiopian country chair, Bezawit Gizao. Are you on Bezawit?
Yes, I am, Tito. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians. Habari, እንደምን አደራችሁ ከኢትዮጵያ ለመጣችሁ ክለብ ሜምበሮች። I'm very much pleased to be here today this morning, because it's the first time that I realized that what is happening in the district is quite a lot, and Ethiopia is also unfortunately losing quite a lot from what is happening or engaging what's happening in the district level. In spite of the push from Rotarian Azeb, who's our district governor nominee, to attend, until the very last minute, only 6 Rotarians attended from Ethiopia out of 227 members attending this meeting. So that's the first thing I would try to address in this next 6 years. I will not go into the details of what we did, because it is a routine thing that we're supposed to be doing as a country chair, but we'll share the report so that you could see what has been happening. The second thing, what I realized is that we're not alone in the boat. A lot of the challenges which were shared, experience which were shared, are more or less similar, and I look forward to work with all the district officers who have presented quite a lot interesting and inspirational presentations. Rotarian Janet, Rotarian Isaac, you will be hearing a lot of banging from my side. I'll be knocking your doors, your emails, your phones continuously to make sure that we are working together. And please know that you have a full support of the Rotary clubs in Ethiopia and myself to deliver your inspirational projects. Last but not least, I talked with my fellow country chair in Kenya, Rotarian Soham, who gave me a tip that this meeting is all about stating what you're explaining what you're going to do in the next half year. So I would thank you for that, Soham. It was really valuable. I'll be focusing on retention of club members. I will make sure that Rotary clubs are waking up from the sleep they're right now. I'll try to ignite and aspire them to be better Rotarians in the next 6 months. A lot of service projects and club meetings, reportings, and other expected duties like paying dues are somehow done, but not efficiently. So I'll make sure that all clubs are doing that in the next 6 months, and hand over a very clean sheet as much as possible to my next predecessor, who couldn't make it today, but apologized. Rotarian Fulfill. The district conference, yes, I heard yesterday that we embarrassingly that we're the ones who are really lacking back. I'll make sure that we are represented in good numbers, more than 5 for sure, not like today. Last but not least, the call which was also shared by Rotarian Janet, please know that we are 100% with you in supporting that initiative, and whatever is required, we'll make sure that it is a reality on the ground. The tree planting campaign. We have the call with comment to deliver it. That is all in this morning, and thank you for listening. Back to you, Tito.
Right. Thank you very much, Country Chair Bezawit. And now we go to our Kenya Country Chair, Madam Saum Siraj. Welcome, Saum.
Good morning, everybody. Happy to see as many Rotarians as possible on this webinar. And we're excited to at least give a brief of what's been happening in our various dockets at the district. First, I'd like to really appreciate all the Rotarians who support the district in various ways. Those who attend to our phone calls when you call them and ask questions, send emails, etc. Largely sent by my admin, Rotarian Sidi Nduta. I really appreciate that. Basically, when we started the year, my target was just to automate the accounting system of the district in terms of administration, so that everything is in order, the invoices, the statements, follow-ups, and such that when we do audits, everything is in place. That we have implemented and it's going on well. The other thing was to make sure that the audited accounts are in order and approved. That has happened. We've been supporting the DG during the club visits. We have visited most of the clubs. I've only missed 4 club visits, and it's been very enlightening getting to know the clubs. And I appreciate, as much as COVID-19 happened, using technology made it so much easier to visit the clubs, virtually interact, and it allowed us to get to know more members. Well, the other target I've always thought about for quite a while is having a centralized database, not only for the country, Kenya, but for the whole district for ease of communication. That we have email addresses, we have names of all the Rotarians we have in the district and their classifications. I appreciate the club admins and club presidents who've given us their club database and continue to update when they induct new members. So far, we've collected from 86 clubs. We get a database from 41 clubs. That's roughly 65% achievement. The other thing is just to remind all of us that country offices, be it Ethiopia, South Sudan, or Kenya, our key work is to support all the other district officials and also be a place to be offering resources, be it information, assistance, directing people to the right place. We've managed to support all the district officers in terms of communication, passing out information, resolving some disputes within clubs and things like that in various capacities, and also supported a few presidents. Basically, that's it in terms of our targets and achievements. Next slide. The other thing, sorry, I forgot to mention is that we've been supporting the incoming district governor-elect, DG Alex, in various capacities, and the relationship is going on well, so we ensure there is a transition, a proper transition when by the end of June 30th. Beyond that, plans for the next half year is just, I want to work closely with the other country chairs so that they don't feel left out. Like Country Chair Bezawit has mentioned that there's a lot happening and they don't know, and unfortunately, maybe that's why their members didn't attend this webinar. I'd like to work closely with them, even South Sudan, so that we are all involved, we all work together, and hopefully we can do joint projects as countries and grow this district. I'd also want to ensure that we have a 100% district database, engage more with the AGs in supporting the club so that they can achieve the district, their goals and the club goals. Unfortunately, engagement with the AGs hasn't been it's been weak, let me put it that way. More so to work with the district public image and communication team. We've had discussions with Henry about it, on how to sensitize Rotarians on a lot of things happening in the district. Because from where I sit, I get a lot of information. Then the other issue, the challenge has always been, who should pass out this information? How do we pass out this information? But we've had a discussion with Henry, and we'll figure out how to pass out most of the information even if it involves other dockets, to ensure that Rotarians are updated at all time. And we'll continue to support DG in the remaining club visits and work with the district treasurer to ensure all clubs are compliant in terms of their structure. So we are pushing the clubs who don't have their PE and club officials on board. We are pushing, I'm actually calling presidents myself and tell them, you need to appoint a PE and the PE needs to appoint board members to ensure that transition happens well. And again, to continue work with the DG and his team as and when required. But basically for me, I would like to say that as Rotarians, we have a lot of power to change this, the communities we are in terms of our ideas, our skills, our resources, and all these other resources that are around us. So let's put it to good use. Let us all work together as a team and support the communities around us. There's a lot happening in the world. I know we all have our own personal issues, but once in a while we can put them aside and support those who are less fortunate, less privileged than we are, so that we can make this place a better place. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Country Chair Saum. And we are just about to finish the webinar, but before we do that, we need to hear from our incoming leadership as how well they're prepared and how they see the district from their end. So, District Governor-elect Alex Nyaga, are you on?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, District Secretary Tito. Good morning, everybody. And first and foremost, I would like to really thank District Governor Patrick for setting this up. I think it's important that as leaders, we always review our scorecard and where what we've achieved and the areas that we need to improve on. So with that, I'm very impressed as to first and foremost how we have come this far as a district. During very difficult circumstances of COVID and dealing with COVID, we have kept this district strong and solid. And I think from how I look at it, it's from the great leadership that has been provided by the district leaders who have just presented here earlier today. And also the Rotarians who have really gone through and stepped up their efforts in ensuring that they continue enjoying the fruits of their membership in Rotary. One of the things I'd like to speak into is that of being intentional. We need to be intentional in everything that we do as leaders and as Rotarians. So going forward, a lot of the things that we're setting out to do is on the district leadership team that will be serving in our year, and the communications too that will be going out in the course of next week. And with that, not only the mere fact about intentional leadership is also preparing those same leaders to be able to serve this district. And trainings will be taking effect after I attend my international assembly in the beginning of February. We'll be starting to embark on trainings all over the district. And the first one, of course, will be in Kenya, and followed by Ethiopia, and next South Sudan. The other thing that I've put towards intentional leadership is that of knowing the district and the state of the district. And I've had the opportunity to accompany the district governor in his visits in various regions. And in the coming week, we'll also be visiting Ethiopia, and just to get to interact with the Rotarians and the leadership there, in forging ways that we can be able to see towards the future, and just look forward to seeing what we can be able to do in building a stronger district, as well as impacting our various initiatives that we are doing towards changing our communities in our world. But more and foremost, I would like to encourage us to do this, guys. Intentional leadership has to happen. Intentional membership has to happen. And intentional areas around and be intentional about issues of governance and ethics, issues around just serving our communities with wholeheartedly, and being intentional about that which brought us towards joining the membership of Rotary. So it's going back to the basics, I believe. And what I'd like to encourage us to do is, like, we're at the stage now, we're moving as a district from plan to action as we prepare for the next year. And also, I would like to really say a big thank you to DG Patrick and the past leadership, the past district governors, and to DG and Azeb, who have been really exceptional in giving their full heart to this district. And to you as a members of Rotary and District 9212, I want to continue encouraging us to keep it solid, keep it one love. God bless you all, and do have a lovely, lovely afternoon.
Right, thank you very much, District Governor-elect Alex. And now we go to our District Governor nominee, Azeb Basrat.
Yes, good morning. Greetings, DG, district officials, senior leadership, Rotarians, Rotaractors. I'm really, heartwarmed, I must say that, by being here this morning. DG, I would like to say thank you for your involving and participatory leadership, that I was involved from the beginning since my nomination in May 2020. Since my nomination in May, my involvement in various discussions and activities has allowed me to familiarize myself with the overall district activities. My participation as an observer in the DG's club visits, attending the monthly EXCOM presidents' AG's meetings, apart from others, could be mentioned as major drives. As part of my present preparation for my year in 2022-23, being part of the Troika with the IPDG, DG, DGE, and myself has shaped my way to ensure the planning and construction of teams and other key areas of focus. Again, as part of my preparation, I have attended the DGN training in Kampala, which also enabled me to attend the second All Africa Zone 22 Institute, from which I have learned quite a bit, I must say. I see a great opportunity for the continuation of institutional strengthening of our district, thanks to the extraordinary work being done by DG, district officials, PDGs, and Rotarians and Rotaractors for their support. Finally, I would like to highlight, setting aside COVID-19, I have benefited a lot from the virtual fellowships and meetings, not only in the district, but across the globe. As we continue to work on the team construction, I have come up with some draft list of people that I need in the district as well, in Kenya, South Sudan, and Ethiopia. I'll be working, first of all, by talking to them and confirming before I issue the list. So that's where I am now. And I thank you wholeheartedly for the excellent presentations that were made this morning. I thank you.
All right, thank you very much, DG and Azeb. And you sure will have our total support as a district. So just to wrap up, I'll do my presentation as a district secretary, but mine will be very brief because a lot of what I do is just to coordinate what happens in the district. And on communication, this has been mentioned by all the different country chairs. We've done a lot of strengthening of making sure that the country offices are the means of information and communication internally to all Rotarians. Then we've had the establishment of the country offices as the legal entities in the respective countries. I know there has been a question regarding the registration of clubs as societies, this is something that we put it briefly on hold because we wanted to first sort out our country registration and also find a mode where the district is able to not only just support the clubs better, also hold the clubs accountable in terms of grants. So just give it as a bit of hold as we resolve that within the district leadership. Then on feedback, we've developed a number of different feedback avenues where we can get information from the ground up to the district, and we have the monthly presidents forum, the ages forum, the cluster leaders forum, and this is just one way of trying to make sure that we respond to the needs of the Rotarians in the district. And then on reporting, we've been having some 60% compliance from the presidents and also some 80% compliance from the AGs. But what we have done is we've tried to make sure that this reporting format is online. It's a tool that becomes easy to analyze and also feed into making decisions. Then on governance, remember we passed and approved the district bylaws, which we're using right now. And then, as DG mentioned, we are in the process of setting up the district governance and ethics committee. And then we've also been very supportive of the rollout of the new district leadership structure, which has been taking shape and which even Janet has mentioned a lot about. On strategic planning, we were able to develop the district strategy and have it rolled out and implemented. And it's one, and the KPIs drawn from it is what has been getting a lot of what the district officers have been doing. And then we also went ahead and supported clubs to develop their own individual club strategies. And so far we are at 84%. So 84% of the clubs in the district have their strategies. What we are doing is trying to make sure that we get that to 100%. So I've been working with the presidents who haven't been able to develop their strategies and make sure that at the turn of the year, each and every single club in the district will have one. And then lastly, I've also been working with the incoming leadership to try and see how well they can also review the district plan and then pick actions and activities that they'll run with from the next year. Next 6 months, I will be keen to support the digital transformation strategy and most especially on the communication governance part of it, so that we can have efficient and more effective communication in the district and access and recording of information. Then the reviewing of the strategy, this one is what I'll also be doing a lot, so that to prepare the incoming team for the year 2 of the 3-year strategy implementation. Then we are having, we've been working on a district manual of procedure, so that that is aligned to the RI manual of procedure, and also we'll also work on the rollout of the ethics and governance committee. So that is it for me. So now we jump into the Q&A session. So I've been requesting whether you can be posting the questions on chat, and most of them have actually been responded to. So I'd like to ask Country Chair Saum, is there any question that have not been responded to? And amongst all those who are listening in, here's a chance to throw in. We can take at least 4 or 5 questions before we close the session for today. So Saum, any questions that have not been responded to? Saum, are you there? Okay, so I'm open for any question from the floor. Anyone who has a burning question to all the district officials who are here? Just unmute your mic and ask the question.
As people are thinking, there is one that I saw on the chat, and this is about why did you have the drop in membership? The main reason on the drop in membership is because a lot of people have not paid their dues as of the half year. So that we had a very big drop because the clubs had to go through the process and have been able and then drop them. one of the reasons we would like, therefore, in the second half of the year from the membership team is to address that issue and work with the clubs to make sure that they're having constant conversations. And I think it's a message you'd like to pass on. Have constant conversations with your members and see how you can support them to ensure that they are actually paying their dues. I think this is a condition of being in Rotary, and it may be unfortunate that some people cannot continue, and we accept that, but let us have these conversations on Rotary dues, country dues, and district dues, so that people actually support the organizations that are making Rotary work. So, so that is the main reason we lost our members. That is the biggest reason. There are others who have just left because I think Rotary wasn't for them, and we accept that that is the case. Thank you.
All right. Just want to give it one last chance. Anyone else who has a question that you need to respond to?
Maybe Tito, sorry, Tito, can I just provide, I think there was one question.
So,
Tito, there's a question asked on
2.5 hours. So
sorry,
I would
Tito.
like to invite you, DG, again to give us your punchline and close the meeting. But from my end, I want to sincerely thank all of you for being part of this. Keep us in check, ask us questions, and let's make sure that we make this one of the most outstanding districts in Rotary. So thank you very much, and welcome, DG, for your punchline.
Thank you. George had something to say. George, quickly.
Thank you, DG. I think there was somebody who asked about accounts and how the district can assist them in doing the accounts so that they make the 90 days. But I think the space for answering that question was not enough on text. I just thought that it's good to say that most of the accounts is not because it's not an audit issue. It's people transitioning from one year to the next without preparing a good set of accounts. And the rationale behind this decision is if you don't comply, then it's going to be harder. We want to make it as difficult as possible for you to maybe access grants unless you comply. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. We've been going for 2.5 hours, which is a bit longer than anticipated, but I think being the first time, there's a lot of information that was being shared, and I hope that we'll probably be holding another one of these within 3 months, and then the final one during the DCA, when we'll be sort of talking around how the year has been. So for the next 6 months, the key focus that I'd like to make for myself is to push and push and push on compliance and clean out all the bad apples that we have in the district. We need to leave the district with a chance of growing on a good basis rather than addressing challenges from the past. It's a distraction and it's something that we have to clear out. So that is going to be my big drive over the next 6 months, is to clear out on that and get our reporting, both grants reporting and what George Madenga talked about, financial reporting, to be clear. The essence is, if you do regular, very simple reporting every quarter, the preparation of your club accounts at the end of the year is going to be simple. But if you don't do it, and then you try and remember what happened during the course of the year, you will never have a set of accounts, and therefore you will not be able to report and prepare your accounts on time. The other thing that I am going to ensure that happens is to what Tito referred to. We must start working with the teams that have been prepared, are being elected for next year, which were elected in December or thereabouts. We must start preparing them to take office. Alex is doing his best in terms of that, but there needs to be that liaison between the current office holders, all you presidents, secretaries, and treasurers, with the new incoming team, so that they're aware of what is going on and they hit the ground running. At the district, we have adopted that situation. You see that everywhere I go, everything I do, I have the district governor elect, the district governor nominee, and we have the district officers, and a lot of the people that Alex is going to have in his year are already working within the teams that we have now. So the district treasurer, district secretary, they're all already mingling in with the current district team. So as clubs, I would like all of us to do exactly the same and make sure that we have a seamless transition during the course of this year. We have to make that happen. We have to make sure that there are no cracks between 2020, 2021, and 2021, 2022. We owe that to our membership. And then the last thing I'd like to talk about is engagement. One of the objectives of this was to create as much engagement as possible. I am extremely disappointed that we only got 230 people attending this out of 3,337 members in the district. That is 7% of the membership that has come through. And if you talk about communication, getting members involved, passing on information, what else do we need to do? That's going to be the next thing. Last year, we had a timeline that came in, and that is information that is going through regularly. And there are a lot of information going through that. We formed the various WhatsApp groups, the treasurers, the secretaries, and everybody are responding. We are getting a lot of information that members are not getting information. What is it that is happening? So during the course of the next 6 months, I'd like all of us, again, present here, to ramp up the engagements that we're having so that members feel included. They want to participate in what we're doing. They want to be doing a lot of things that should be happening. And for me, the indication about the attendance in this webinar is that we have a lot to do in order to ensure that our members are engaged regularly. Or are they fatigued with the Rotary? That really is what I'd like us to find out over the next 6 months and hand over that information to the next team so that we enhance and improve member engagement. We can try in terms of offering opportunities, but as I say, you can take the horse to water, but you cannot force the horse to drink. So, fellow Rotarians, thank you very much for participating here. We have another 6 months to go. We all had our plans for the year, individually as Rotarians, collectively as clubs, together as countries, and overall as a district. Each of you has got a role to play, and each small role that you play is the one that is going to help us gradually build up the delivery of the promise of the district. It's not the district office that will deliver it, it's all of us together who have to work with the communities, with our fellow Rotarians, and with our colleagues, and with our partners to make sure that Rotary is alive and really working in the district. So let's go forward, make the next 6 months work, and we'll see you at the district conference in Nanyuki. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DG.
Thank you. Thank you very much, DG and the team. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. See you on the next meeting.
Thank you, DG.
Thank you, DG.
Thank you very much. Thank you from Rotary Club of Addis Ababa. Bye.
Thank you, DG and the leadership.
Thank you, DG from Rotary Club of Karura.
Thank you, DG from the Rotary Club of Matate.
Thank you, everyone from Rotary of Sierra.
Thank you, everyone from Rotary Club of Lalibela.
Thank you all from Rotary Club of Nairobi Parklands.
Thank you all and DG from Rotary Club of Bondo.
Thank you all from the Rotary Club of Karen.
Thank you all from Rotary Club of Kikuyu.
Thank you all from Rotary Club of Lavington Echo.
Thank you all from Rotary Club of Kisumu Central.
Thank you all from Rotary Club of Parklands, Nairobi.
Thank you all from the Rotary Club of Ngoma.
Thank you all
from Rotary Club of Lavington.
Thank you. The meeting was fantastic. This is Sidika from Rotary Club of Mthaiga.
Thank you all for a good session. These are the newest babies, Rotary Club of Nairobi, Samawati. My name is Rose Gishuki. Have a good day.
Thank you all. This is Benta from Rotary Club Karura.
Thank you all from Lavington Echo. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you all. I'll speak to the Rotary Club of Mombasa Nyali.
Okay, thank you all. This is Evans Makumba from the Club of Mombasa.
Thank you all from the Rotary Club of Nairobi. Nice weekend. This is Josephine Ojambo.
Thank you all from the coolest club in the district.
On behalf of the Club of Victor, thank you all. God bless you, and very happy and successful year ahead of us.
Thank you all from the Rotary Club of Lavington Gioni. My name is Mary Sapwa.
And they shall see me.